So now what we have to do next is we've talked about this. We're preparing some final documentation, but because you've uncovered this Bill of Rights and this 1688 clause, it's kind of delaying the final documentation for you. Is that right?
Yeah, and there's also the 1701 Act of Settlement as well, which is even worse than the Bill of Rights. Tried to correct the Bill of Rights and absolutely failed. But the most important thing in the Bill of Rights is that Queen Elizabeth altered it. I'll read it out to you.
Yeah, that's great, because that gives us hope.
Words in S1 omitted, 26 March 2015, by virtue of succession to the Crown Act 2013, C20 S5 SCH paragraph 2A with SCH paragraph 5 S1 2015 /894 comma ART.2. So there's the reference for it. You know, that's the reference, and that's the one that says, and the said Crown government shall from time to time descend to and be enjoyed by such person or persons being Protestants as should have inherited and enjoyed the same. Right. So they're saying, they're acknowledging me as the descendant of Queen Anne Boleyn, who was actually the last real monarch of England. She really was, because she was given her own coronation in 1533. She was married to Henry VIII. Henry VIII had a jousting accident in January 1536, and it opened up an old injury, and it went pussy, and it drove him mad. That was January 1536, and then in May 1536, April, May, he tried to kill Queen Anne Boleyn. And she survived her execution, as did a lot of people, as did Sir Walter Raleigh, as did King Charles I. And also Francis Bacon also faked his death and lived another 25 years. So faking your death in the 1600s, 1500s, 1600s, 1700s was just, fantastic. It was so often done amongst the aristocracy.
Yeah.
It's fine. It was just what they did, I mean, they wore big dresses, right? They wore big dresses, like Elizabeth I. She got this dress from Spain. It's called the Execution, and it was 4 foot wide. Just come out there, 4 foot wide, right? And then for Mary Queen of Scots' execution, a year beforehand, she got the executioner dress from Spain, and she had them made 6 foot wide. 6 foot wide.
Yeah.
Right? That's a big ass, right? 6 foot wide. She could hide a person in there, no problem whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you wear a 6 foot wide dress?
But was there a reason for it? Where are you going with this?
What happened was, when they were executing Mary Queen of Scots, they had her ladies in waiting stand in front of the audience on a raised platform.
Yeah.
With the 6 foot wide dresses. 4 6 foot wide dresses, you're blocking 24 feet of view.
Yeah.
So no one could see the execution. Mary Queen of Scots was another person that faked her execution with Queen Elizabeth I herself. So that no one could see the execution. And the first people to write affidavits of Mary Queen of Scots' execution was 75 years later.
Yeah.
Right? And the first people to write witness statements on the execution of Charles I was 25 years later.
So they're all fake, basically.
They're all fake. They're all fake. And I can go through and tell you how all of them were fake and where they went.
Did they all come to Marbella? Because apparently that's where all the rogues are that I've been hearing online. They're all saying all the scammers go to Marbella, all the rogues.
It was maybe scammers and rogues there, but they went to Portugal, to west of Lisbon, Estoril.
Yeah, I've been there actually, yeah.
Right? And Estoril is where King Juan Carlos of Spain grew up.
Yeah.
Right? He grew up in Portugal. And he used to play tennis at Estoril, and his girlfriend was a tennis player model called Chantal, and she used to call him Juanito. And the little midge, or something like that.
Speaking of Juan Carlos, there's been some tabloid press I've been getting copies of saying that Prince Charles is giving the crown straight to William. So
and it's an old photo. And it's an old photo.
Yeah.
William is the son of King Juan Carlos. King Juan Carlos is being taken down to levels below royalty, below a commoner. He's being stripped of all of his titles and everything. Well, we just loaned the crown back to Spain to test it with Juan Carlos, and he failed. And we had the Spanish crown. We had it from 1603 to 1975. And we just gave it back to them to see what would happen. And they stuffed it up. Because the first thing that Juan Carlos did was shag Diana and conceive Prince William.
Yeah.
So, the Spain was never going to keep its crown.
Well, I've been explaining this to people that you have a great idea about the common law courts with all the royal property in the UK.
Yeah. Well, I want to set up the palaces as common law courts so that when people come to do their jury duty, they stay overnight, they walk around and enjoy the garden, and they hear the case in a nice big stately room, and then they walk around, enjoy the gardens, and then leave. But people actually get an experience out of it.
You have a long waiting list. People would love that.
Yeah. We haven't had common law courts since 1688, effectively. We've been stripped of all the common laws, and all of the statutes say common law repealed, common law this repealed, common law Smithson Act, known as Smithson, repealed, blah, 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 blah. So all the statutes have gone through, and they're continually repealing all the common law, so that the living man is no longer the living man, and it's only dead fictions in the court, which are led by lawyers representing private corporations. And the private corporations have secret agreements with members of parliament, and the members of parliament don't represent the people in the district. They represent the resources of the land and the water and the air and the mining. And they represent that, and they sell that to the corporations and give a cut to the bankers who fund and run the parliament, who then fund and run the crown. And the crown's got nothing to say, because we've been illegitimate since James I came down from Scotland. They're all a bunch of Catholics, really, trying to destroy England from within. So the last true monarch was Queen Anne Boleyn, who had her own coronation, faked her death and carried on a royal lineage and produced this dude, who then laid down his coat for
Where
Queen
are you
Elizabeth.
finding all of these children's books?
This is highly intellectual stuff. Like, it's the Ladybird intellectual book. I got it out of the Oxford Library. It's one of the chain books.
Yeah, no, we all had these as books when we were kids in England, I remember. I haven't seen them for years. So, okay, we've established where they got the draft from. We know what the game plan is, which is the most sinister thing I've ever heard in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Global enslavement to Europe.
Yeah.
Would I be right in saying that Europe is basically run, you said it was run by these bankers, and these bankers don't give a shit about us in the UK. They're just treating us as cattle and using this as to take advantage of the situation of uncertainty. Would that be right?
Oh, they've created the uncertainty, and they're doing it because they've compromised the members of parliament, lords and judges and lawyers to such a degree that they can do whatever they want and write whatever they want, make it difficult to understand so that no one will actually read it. The numbers of people who have actually read the European Union Withdrawal Agreement Act 2020 and actually read it is probably 100. And the ones who have actually understood it is probably only me.
Yeah.
I don't believe anyone else has understood. I've never heard anyone say anything that was cognizant about it. And it seems to be that all the lawyers, judges, members of parliament and lords, their attention span is incredibly dull. It's like, and this is actually true, it's like they were writing these documents while on heroin or laudanum or cocaine or opium and morphine, and on their way to a brothel at 5 o'clock on Friday night down Gropecunt Lane next to the bank in London, and then completely dismissive. And some of the lines that they've used do not make any sense whatsoever and use new words that no one has ever heard of and that you can't define, and that they have to be discussed in the House of Lords, which then give them an even worse definition, interpretation of the meaning. I mean, this stuff ain't even English.
It's astounding there's nobody else that has stood up, because I've been asking around on the forums too, saying, hey, any legal help with this, and nobody's come forward. You get people offer, but they have no legal background, so they, bless them, thanks so much for asking, but they wouldn't be able to help us much. But all right, you're there because that's why you're the king, because you have
exactly. So what I'm doing as the king is I'm bringing back the kingdom, and I'm bringing back the common law rights, and I'm bringing back the living man, living woman, living child, and I'm bringing back the sane, rational, clear thinking, this is obviously true law, as opposed to the absolute garbage that would be given by drug-using, alcoholic, pedophilic lawyers, judges, members of parliament, and lords, and the fake royalty.
Yeah,
Queen Elizabeth, Prince Philip. They're fake, and they've been fake right back to James I. Totally fake. I mean, seriously compromised by the Ashkenazi bankers from 1509 when the Catholic Church made them Jews.
Do you have any names for these specific people, Greg? Do you know who the head of it is? Or
Rothschild. The interesting thing is, because I'm part of the prophecy, and they know that, because I'm born on the day of Hamashiach, or the Mashiach, Ha means that. I'm born on the day and the time of Hamashiach in Rosh Hashanah 1961. They actually came and briefed me and told me a lot of their secrets.
Why would you do that?
A lot of the stuff that happens is contrary to what you would expect. Mm-hmm. Right? So the Rothschilds come along and they buy half of Israel and they build Israel's parliament, the Knesset. Yeah?
Yeah.
So Rothschilds own and run Israel, right? The prediction is that the Hamashiach will come along and he'll have these, you look like this basically, and he'll be born at this time, which is my birthday, and he'll do these things, which is the stuff that I've done. And he'll have this bloodline, which I've got, and he'll fulfill all these prophecies which I've fulfilled. And then we'll give him Israel. The Rothschilds actually give me Israel, which they own, right? Yeah. Because what the contract was in from Mayer Amschel Rothschild's dream in 1783 was the Rothschilds would breed into the Sangreal bloodline, right? Which was the British royal family Queen Victoria bloodline. So they actually bred Queen Victoria and then bred with Queen Victoria and created her 9 illegitimate children who are all 3/4 Rothschilds. And then those children would then breed through all the royal families of Europe and just destroy the bloodline. But the Rothschild bloodline would be through all the royal families of Europe. And that was to be the case for 200 years. And then after that, which is 2012, it was 200 years from when Mayer Amschel Rothschild died, which is 19th September 1812. Hence the 1812 Overture, which was written in 1870 and purchased by the Rothschilds and renamed the 1812 Overture.
Yeah,
that's the beginning of the Shin, right? The Forbidden Secret. And then someone would come along, born Hamashiach, on this day, Rosh Hashanah 1961, and they would fulfill all of the prophecies and they have all of this bloodline. And then he would purify the United Kingdom lineage, remove the Rothschild lineage, and I'd become the new Sangreal lineage because the Sangreal lineage has been tainted with Rothschild bloodline, right? And then the Rothschilds would give me Israel, and they'd destroy Europe and the United Kingdom before the Hamashiach came up, which is me. And so they know it's me now, so there's no need to destroy Europe anymore or the United Kingdom anymore. So they're handing the United Kingdom to me and Israel to me and Europe to me and the new banking system to me and maybe the new internet as well. And they came and met me in 2006 and in February, 2 days, and they basically laid it all out. So I wrote a lot of it down in books in 2007 it's just totally contrary to what you would think, right? So, it's cognitive dissonance that the enemy will come to you and tell you who you are, what you're going to do, and what they're going to get there. They're going to destroy everything in the meantime, and then you're going to make it all good.
Where were you in 06? New Zealand?
Auckland, yeah, Parnell. At the same time that was happening, the police were breaking into my house at night, and they'd steal my credit card and my driver's license and stand over the bed, just being sneaky, because he's a deep sleeper or whatever. And then 3 months later, they'd put my driver's license and credit card back on the kitchen bench exactly where it was. So what I did is I got an A4 piece of paper and I wrote on it, "Dear police, milk and tea in the fridge." Milk and tea on the bench, lemonade in the fridge. I put it, soaked it to the inside of the glass front door, because they're sneaking in so much. And then about 1:30 in the morning, I hear this forearm bash against the glass door, and then they buggered off.
All right, so I'm going to come to the UK pretty soon, and we're going to do some more filming. Would you like that?
Yeah, sure. What I actually like, if anyone's got a really large studio, or a factory or something, and without a draft, and we could actually get all the European Union documents and print them out and then put them up on a wall, and then use some like red wool string or something. That's something that will show up in the camera and connect all the references, ideas from one to the other.
Be interesting now, wouldn't it?
Good point.
Yeah, let's do that then. I'll come back. I've got to go to Tenerife in a week or so, because there's another fine mess you've got me into, Ollie.
I understand that. That's quite good, because the Huna group is really getting behind me, and they're having morning meditations with me as the King of the United Kingdom, which is really nice.
Yeah, really so let's just talk about that a little bit. There was a ceremony from an extremely high spiritual leader, the Huna Flash, who came to see you, and he initiated you into the Huna, right?
Yeah, which is kind of Lemuria 5. So there's been 4 Lemurian civilizations. The last one, the 4th one, Atlantis was part of it. So what we're doing is we're forming the Lemuria 5, the 5th Lemurian civilization.
Yeah.
Which will kind of start with the Orhaganus, which is the light flash from the creation, from central creation. And it's supposed to come in Jerusalem, and they're all expecting the Hamashiach and the Orhaganus to come. And I think they're expecting the Orhaganus around the 21st of December, 2020. But
well, he's invited me to go and meet him.
Yeah.
And I was very honoured to get that invitation. So I'm going to go out there and have a chat with Huna Flash, the big man. What a nice fellow, isn't he? What a nice chap.
Yeah, it's got good energy. It's quite interesting when he came here and we're going. I said I'll see you. Be arriving around 11 to go see you, and he says I'll see you at 12. He wants to do some work on the church, and I just happened to be walking past to the church through the stone gateway, and he was just walking the other way straight into the stone gateway. So we actually met outside the church. So we started the meeting at 11, and he had this quartz crystal, diamond crystals from the comet that formed the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah,
the comet full of diamonds. So he's got some of those diamonds ground up, and then we dropped some comet diamond powder around the church.
Which church? So the nearest one or the furthest one?
Yeah, the Samaris, the stone one from 1290.
Hang on, is that the nearest one though, Greg? Because we went to
both. The nearest one, about 30 yards away.
Yeah, that one. Okay, I'll pop over because there's a couple of other things we've got to do. For everybody that's watching, I'm intending to do the Jack the Ripper story, which is very interesting as well. I'm not going to spoil it, Greg, before you go into it on here, but Greg has inside knowledge about the entire story of the 1888, late August, early September, the 5 murders that happened in Whitechapel in London in 1888. And I'll come and do the story of that because it all kind of ties into the same sort of thing that we're doing. There is a tie there, but I don't want to give the story away. So I'd like to do that in September, and then get it out for a Halloween special, maybe. But we'll do some other stuff as well.
Here's a request. I would like someone to measure up the oval on the Buckingham Palace gates. I think it's on the east side.
Yeah.
It's going to be about 1,200 by 900. So I want someone to measure it up for me.
You mean where the missing emblem is?
Yeah, and take a photo with a clear camera. Preferably take a photo with a tape measure on there as well. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So if anyone's in London can go and do that, go down and measure up where the missing emblem is with a tape measure. Yeah. Obviously, you've got plans for that, Greg.
Yeah. I'm just talking to a sculptor. The last time I asked someone to do it was by phone, and the police picked up the phone call. So when he was cycling past to go and measure it, 4 cop cars had just arrived with 8 police officers next to in front of it and guarded the non-emblem.
Really?
So we couldn't measure it. But then I guess what we can do is measure any of the other emblems. They're probably all going to be the same size.
Yeah, not going to be as garnered.
Yeah, so and I've been talking to a sculptor about it.
But we are still going to get a document out to everybody. So because
what I'd like to do, I could do a 1-page proclamation, but then people are going to go, I don't understand. And when you actually do a 1 or 2 or 3-page proclamation, you have maybe 20 pages of notes that are succinct from maybe 200 pages of notes.
Yeah.
So I can just write stuff, and people go, okay, but you've got all of these legal documents, and there is nothing that is of benefit to the common man and the living man for the last 432 years.
It's disgraceful, isn't it? And
you know what I mean?
Institutions know about it. All of the top people know about it.
And they don't say anything, and they don't teach it.
Yeah. Omitted from history.
Well, it's called the Bill of Rights, but it's the bill removing all of your rights.
Yeah, they should call it that.
This time, what they've done with the European Union Withdrawal Agreement Act 2020, they've put withdrawal agreement in brackets, which means it's removed off the page. So what it actually is the European Union Act 2020. So it's the European Union agreeing with itself what it's going to do to the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
And Queen Elizabeth II can't do anything because she's handed the crown to me. And the said crown and government shall from time to time descend to and be enjoyed by such persons or persons being Protestant as should have inherited and enjoyed the same.
Great.
So she's handed the crown to me, and the Queen's got no power. The Parliament doesn't have to listen to her. Anything she says is not legal. All she does is sign the documents that the Parliament wanted to sign.
Yeah.
And she has to sign those documents in order to get funding. If she doesn't sign the documents en masse, she'll be refused funding, which means that the commoners would have to support her, which would render her a commoner and a delinquent, which she is. That's why her title is of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland Queen, suffix, and not Queen of the United Kingdom, prefix. It's only there by the grace of God, Queen, and the definition of by the grace of God is no deeds done.
Yeah, she hasn't done anything. Greg, I had some intel. I forgot to tell you this. I've just remembered now. A couple of days ago, somebody said that their family member works at Balmoral. And when the Queen is in Balmoral, there's a certain protocol that happens. And she said that protocol hasn't happened. So the normal amount of staff that go there to take care of things when she's there are not there. So it's not even looking like she's there. Because the staff that are normally, okay, Queen's coming, get everybody ready. You know what we have to do? We need the gardeners, the groomskeepers, the horse people, all of this. They're not there. So they haven't been employed. This came from a very good source.
Yeah.
It's not even looking like she is there. So if she's not there, where is she?
Well, the reason she went from Balmoral is so they could say Queen is moving 500 miles north from Windsor to Balmoral. And 500 miles is the Proclaimer song. And the night before that was announced, I had just done my first proclamation. So Queen was acknowledging my proclamation. And the distance from Windsor Castle to Balmoral is actually exactly 400 miles. So they said to acknowledge my proclamation. So they're acknowledging that I can write proclamations and that they will be acknowledged because I'm the one who descends and is enjoying the Protestant who's inherited and enjoying the same crown from 1536 before everything went mad, before Henry VIII went mad. And then my descendant, her descendant, grandson, Sir Walter Raleigh, he was the nephew of Queen Elizabeth, so she gave him a ship.
I Googled 400 miles and 500 miles. It's 500 miles by road and it's 400 miles as the crow flies.
Yeah, oh, that's okay. That's fine by me. It's still announced the next day, like from 11 p.m. to 6:42 a.m. She was saying she's moving 500 miles north.
Yeah. No, it is by road. It really is. Yes, I mean, I think it's 300 meters out, but I mean, 300 meters.
She doesn't really travel by road, though, does she?
No.
She gets a helicopter. She doesn't go, oh, I'm just taking the limo up,
Chiefs.
It's a day's journey. It's a whole, 14-hour drive from Windsor to Balmoral.
Yeah.
It would be 14 hours.
All right, great.
Well, there's loose stops in the public toilets. So I think she took the helicopter.
I think that's about it, no?
Yeah. Right, I'm going to go out and, I don't know.
Have a stroll in the evening air, young man.
Pick in the airs. Check out the humours.
Greg, I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much for your time and stay well. And we'll be back in touch very soon. Good night, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're watching from. And thanks again for joining us. And I hope this has answered more questions. And Greg and myself will be back soon with an update. Take care until then. Bye-bye. Thanks, Greg. See you, buddy.